Hi, this is Adrian and I am your wandering tutor. Today we will be discussing and answering some top 20 mathematics review questions from SAT or Upcat. What is an SAT, by the way? SAT is a student admission test. It is an assessment for those high school students or incoming university students who wanted to study in the United States. And Upcat is a University of the Philippines college admission test. Of course, basically it is the admission test or the admission exam for aspiring students who want to go to University of the Philippines. Alright, so let's start question number 1. The average of 7 numbers is 24, the smallest of the 12 numbers is 2, and the largest of the numbers is 31. What is the average of the middle 5 numbers? So basically there are 7 numbers. It's not in a series, alright, it's not in a series, but there are 7 numbers there. So let's try first number. Alright, give me a moment. So the reason why I said it is not a series because it was not mentioned here, but we are going to arrange it from the smallest to the biggest. So we have 7 numbers here according to the problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. And according to the problem, the average of the 7 numbers is 24. That means when you add all of these numbers and you divide it by 7, the answer is 24. Okay? But since we don't know what all those numbers yet, we are going to figure that out. Now, but if we're going to add all these numbers, how are we going to find out the total sum of these numbers? Since we already have the average and the number of numbers or the number of data there, so we can just multiply this by 24. So that means 24 times 7 is equal to 168. So if we're going to remove this, if we're gonna add all of this number, the answer is 168. So we already removed the average because we multiplied by 7 already. Now, according to the problem, the smallest number is 2 and the largest is 31. Alright? And now they are asking for the average of these 5 numbers here. So the first thing that we're going to do is to remove 31 and 2 and put it on the other side of the equation. So it will become 168 minus 2 minus 31, and then we have 5 numbers here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so 168 minus 2 is equal to 166 minus 31 is equal to 121. So it is equal to 135. Sorry, 135. 135. So this is the totals. This is the total or the sum of the numbers of the 5 numbers in the middle. All right. Now, for us to be able to get the average of these 5 numbers in the middle, we just have to divide this by 5. All right. Since there are 5 numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To get the average of the number in the middle, you just have to divide it by 5. And 135 divided by 5 is equal to 27. So the average of the numbers in the middle is 27. Okay, let us proceed to number 2. 2 side lengths of a triangle are 5 and 6. Which of the following cannot be the length of the third side? So in this case, we are going to follow the properties of triangle. One of the properties of triangle is that if you add 2 sides of the triangle, the sum of those 2 sides should always be bigger than the other side. Or for example, we have a triangle here. Okay, so let's say for example we've got a 2, and then we've got a 3. All right, and then we've got a 2 here. All right, so when we add these 2 together, all right, that is 2 plus 5, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. the sum of these two numbers must always be bigger than the sides. All right, or let's try another side here. We have 2 plus 2. The sum of these two numbers, or these two sides, must always be bigger than the other side. All right, now let's go back to the problem here in number 2. So in this case, we have a triangle. The length is 5 and the length is 6 here. That means the sum of these two sides must be always bigger than this side. So 5 plus 6 is equal to 11. So is 11 bigger than 3? Yes. Alright. So number 3, or letter A, is possible. How about 6? Is 6 bigger or smaller than 5 and 6? 11? Yes, it is smaller than 11. How about 9? Is 9 smaller than 11? Yes. How about 12? 12 is bigger than the sum of these two sides. That means letter D cannot be the possible length of the third side, because when you add according to the properties of triangle, the sum of the two sides of triangle must be bigger or greater than the other side of the triangle, which is not possible because this one is bigger than the sum of this one. So the answer for number 2 is 12. Okay, let's proceed to number 3. Eric wishes to shape the graph of the function f of x is equal to x squared 4 places to the right and 6 places down from the origin 0, 0. Which of the equation represent this translation? So what is translation, by the way? Now, translation is the movement of the graph. Alright? When your graph moves, that is translation. Alright? It either goes up or down or left to the right. That is translation. Alright? So translation is part of transformation of the graph. When we say transformation, these are the movements of the graph, whether it expands, shrink, move up or down, left to the right, rotates, and reflect. So in this case, translation is just the movement of the graph up, down, to the left, or to the right. Now, in this case here, since this is a quadratic function, we are going to use the vertex form, and the vertex form says states like this: the function of x is equal to x minus h square plus k. Now, what is h and what is k? Right? Our h and k is the vertex of a quadratic function. All right, that means this is your when we say vertex of a quadratic function, this is your vertex, or in this case, this is your vertex. All right. Okay, let me give you an example of a graph here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say this is your parabola and this is the vertex, or like this is your vertex. Okay, in the vertex form, k is the movement of the parent function, whether it goes up or down. All right, it's the movement in the y-axis, while h is the movement in the x-axis, whether it goes to the left or it goes to the right. Now, when the k is positive, or whether it goes up, all right, when it is positive, when your k is negative, it goes down. Now, how about this? When your h is negative, it goes to the right, and when your h is positive, it goes to the left. Again, when your h is negative, it goes to the right, and when your h is positive, it goes to the left. From our parent function, f of x is equal to x squared. That means it says here 4 places to the right. So that means your parent function will become 4 places to the right. So that will become your h, and since it is going to the right, I said it will become positive, negative, right? So that is x minus 4 quantity squared, and 6 places down from the origin. So 6 places down, that means minus 6. So this is your final answer. That is letter B. Okay, for number 4, what is the slope-intercept form of 13x minus 5x plus 12 minus 2y is equal to 6? Basically, the first thing that we're going to do is what is your slope-intercept form? Your slope-intercept form is like this. So y is equal to mx plus b. Your m is your slope or rise over run, and b is your y-intercept. Okay, now the first thing that we're going to do is we need to simplify this one first. So we have 13x minus 5x, that's equal to 8x, and then we've got a plus 12 here minus 2y is equal to 6, and then we combine like terms. So we're gonna put 12 on the other side, so that becomes 8x minus 2y is equal to 6 minus 12 is equal to negative 6, and then put 8x to the other side, that becomes negative 2y is equal to negative 6 minus 8x. Okay, and then we're gonna simplify this. We're gonna divide both sides by negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. That becomes y is equal to negative 6 divided by negative 6, that is equal to positive negative 6 divided by negative 2, that is equal to positive 3, and negative 8 divided by negative 2 is equal to positive 4x. And we can arrange this as y is equal to 4x plus 3. So this is your slope-intercept form. Okay, for number 5, the coordinates of negative 3 and 5 and 3 and 5 designate the number or the diameter of a circle. What is the circumference? Now, when we say circumference, it is the length around the circle. All right, it's not an area. Again, the length around the circle. When we say length around the circle, it is the same as the perimeter in regular polygons or in polygons. All right, perimeter. Now, since we're talking about circles, so we're gonna use the term circumference. Now, the formula for finding the circumference is 2 pi r. 2 pi r, r means your radius, or we can also make it as pi d. That means the pi times the diameter of the circle. Now, it says here the coordinates negative 3 and 5 and 3, 5 designate the diameter of the circle. That means from one point, from one end, from one point of the circle to the other point of the circle, that becomes the diameter is the longest sector in a circle. So for us to be able to find the distance between negative 3 and 5 and 3, 5, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the distance formula. Distance formula states that the square root of x sub 1 plus x sub 2 square, sorry, it should be x sub 1 minus x sub 2 square plus y sub 1 minus y sub 2 square. All right, so let us designate as our x sub 1, y sub 1, and then x sub 2 and y sub 2. All right, so following the formula, we have square root of our first is negative 3. We've got a negative 3 times minus 3 square plus 5 minus 5 square. Okay, now we have square root of negative 3 minus negative 3 is equal to negative 6 square, and then we got 5 plus minus 5 is equal to 0 squared. Okay, next we have square root of 36 plus 0, that is equal to square root of 36, then it's equal to 6. That means your diameter is 6. And to find the circumference of the circle, that is to multiply the diameter by pi. That becomes pi times your diameter, which is equal to 6. So your circumference is equal to 6d. Sorry, not 6d, but 6 pi. 6 pi. So the answer here is letter C. Okay, let's try to answer number 60. What is the solution set of the absolute value of 2 times the quantity of x minus 1 and then minus 15 is equal to 7? Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to solve whatever's inside the parentheses first. So, or we can just do the distributive property. Alright, so we will do 2 times x is equal to 2x, then 2 times negative 1 is equal to minus 2, then we've got a minus 15 here is equal to 7. Alright, and then this one minus this one, that's equal to 2x minus 17. Absolute value is equal to 7. Now we're all done with the absolute value. Remember, in an absolute value, the absolute value of any number is just the distance of a point from 0. So basically there should always be the absolute value of any numbers is always positive number. For example, the absolute value of negative 7 is equal to 7, and the absolute value of 7 is still 7. Alright, that means the absolute value of any negative number is positive, and the absolute value of any positive number is still the same positive number. Alright, so in this case here, we're going to have at least 2 answers here. Let's say 2x minus 17 is equal to 7. The other one here is 2x minus 17 is equal to negative 7. Alright, now 2x minus 17, we just have to put the negative 7 to the other side, so that becomes 2x is equal to 7 plus 17, that is equal to 2x is equal to 24. Alright, so divide both sides by 2, x is equal to 12. That is your first value. Next, on the other side here, we've got 2x is equal to negative 7. Now this is negative 17. Put it to the other side of the equation. That becomes positive 17. Right? We've got 2x here is equal to negative 7 plus 17. That becomes positive 10. Divide both sides by 2 by 2. X is equal to 5. So the two solution of the solution set of the question of the given absolute value is positive 5 and positive 12, which is letter C. Alright. Okay, if I'm a little bit fast, please try to pause the video so that you can follow. Alright, for number 7, A and B are reciprocals. When multiplied together, their product is 1. That means, remember guys, that when you multiply reciprocals, for example, 1/3 times 3 is always equal to 1. And let's say 2/4 times 4/2 is always equal to 1. And then we have a 3/5 times 5/3 is always equal to 1. Alright, in this case here, A and B are reciprocals. When multiplied together, their product is positive 1. It says here positive 1. Now how do we get a positive number? When we multiply, so remember that if the product of two numbers is positive, the two numbers must have the same sign. So it could either be negative times negative or positive times negative, positive times positive, negative times negative. That is, if A times B is greater than 0, then either A is greater than 0 and B greater than 0, or A is less than 0 and B is less than 0. We are told that A is less than negative 1. Alright, which implies that A is less than 0, correct? So we know that B is less than 0. We also know that A times B is equal to 1. So A is equal to 1 over B. Since A is equal to 1 over B and A is less than negative 1, we can infer that 1 over B is less than negative 1. Now, if we take the reciprocals on both sides of the last inequality, we must flip the inequality sign. Hence, B is greater than negative 1. So we know that B is less than 0 and B is greater than -1, we can represent this as a compound inequality. -1 greater than b greater than less than 0. So this is our answer, which is letter B. Alright, for number 8, which of this is true for all real numbers x and y such that x is greater than 0 and y is less than 0? Now, for this question, you have to examine all the answer options individually in order to eliminate all those that cannot be true. First, if x is positive and y is negative, their product must be negative. So, A is incorrect. Right? Next, the sum of a positive and a negative number could either be positive or negative depending on which number has a greater absolute value. This rules out B because it's not always true, right? Now, similar reasoning applies to letter D. Okay? However, both positive and negative real numbers have positive squares, and adding those positive squares will always yield a positive number. So, C is the correct answer. Okay, for number 9, at what point of the Cartesian plane do the following two lines intersect? We've got y over 3 minus 7 over 3 is equal to x, and y over 3 plus 4/3 is equal to x. Alright, now both of these equations are already solved for the variable x. Alright, it's already solved for the variable x. So we can set them equal to each other to find the value of y. So we can say that y over 3 minus 7 over 3 is equal to y over 3 plus, let's say, 4 over 3, right? Remember, this is a system of linear equation where two equations, two unknown given. So there are different types and there are different ways on how to solve the system of linear equation. We have what we call the substitution, elimination, and we also have by graphing, and a lot of we still have 2 or 3 more technique. But in this case, this is the easiest way to do it. Since these equations are already solved for the variable x, we can use the word substitution. Alright? So we can substitute the value of x. That means x is equal to x right here. So we can just set that these two equations are equal. Now, to make it a little bit easier, the first thing that we're going to do here is to remove the denominator. So how are we going to remove the denominator here? Oh no, in this case, we don't need to remove the denominator here because we have a y over 3 here and y over 3 here. When we combine two like terms, so we can say that y over 3 minus y over 3 is equal to 4/3 plus 7 over 3, right? And y over 3 divided by y over 3 is 0 is equal to what? That is 11 over 3. And 0 is not equal to 11 over 3. That means you can conclude that the lines do not intersect. Right? They do not intersect at all. What does it mean by this? It means that the two lines in a Cartesian coordinate plane are parallel with each other. They are not intersecting. Okay, it could be like that, or it could be like this. So the two lines do not intersect. Okay, the slope of the line represented by the equation 2 times the quantity of x minus 3 minus 6y is equal to 10 is equal to what? So the first thing that we're going to do is to recall the slope intercept form of the line, which is y is equal to mx plus b, where your b is your y-intercept and your m is your slope. So that means we're going to solve this in the slope-intercept form. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we can use the distributive property. That means 2 times x is equal to 2x, 2 times negative 3 is equal to 6, negative 6, and then we've got a minus 6y here is equal to 10. So we can combine like terms if ever there are any like terms. So we've got negative 6 and positive 10. Put negative 6 to the other side, that becomes 10, positive 6, that becomes 16, right? And then we also have 2x minus 6y here. Now, we can put 2x to the other side. So we've got a negative 6y is equal to negative 2x plus 16. Divide both sides by 6. So this is negative 6, negative 6, negative 6. That makes your y is equal to 1/3, because negative 2 divided by 6, negative 6 is equal to positive 1/3 x, and then negative 16 divided by positive 16 divided by negative 6 is equal to negative 8/3, and your slope here is this. So that is positive 1/3, letter B. Okay, please pause the question. Please pause the video and read the question, and then we will try to solve this again. And please try to solve it on your own yourself. So for number 11, the answer there should be letter D, but let's try to answer that ourselves. Now, she runs for 20 minutes and arrives 5 minutes late, right? She needs to be exactly there in 15 minutes using a bike with a speed of 1/3 kilometer kilometer per minute. That becomes t is equal to distance over what? Rate. And then our time is equal to 2 over 1/3. That is equal to what? T is equal to 6. Alright, now 15 minutes minus 6 minutes is equal to 9 minutes earlier. So that is your answer, 9 minutes, letter D. Okay, take time to study the chart for now. Pause the video, and then we are going to discuss this afterwards. Okay, now from the chart, we can see that store X had 80,000 in profits and store Z had 100,000 in profits. Combining these two, we arrive at 180,000 in profits. So that is letter C. Okay, let's go to number 13. Which of the following statements is true? Okay, for letter A, the diagonals of a rhombus are congruent. Letter B, all rectangles are similar. Letter C, all rectangles are rhombuses. D, some rhombuses are rectangles. Some rhombuses are rectangles. Now, the correct answer for number 13 is letter D, because a square is a rhombus and a rectangle at the same time. Therefore, some rhombuses are rectangles. Now for number 14, in order for two triangles shown to be similar, what is one possible value for X? Okay, when we say similar triangles, that means the ratio of their sides, the ratio of the side of one triangle is the same to the ratio of the side of the other triangle. So in this case here, we've got shorter side divided by this side. Okay, so we've got 4/7 inch here, and then we've got an inch here as well. Now in this case, we need to figure out which is the value of X, but since this one is an inch and the choices here are in inch, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to convert the given here in inches. So 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, right? So we've got a 2 1/3 foot here. That means 2 1/3. That is the same as 7/3. That is 7/3 feet times. So we've got a 1 foot here is equal to 12. So we can just multiply 7 times, okay, let's divide this one first. So 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. Then 4 times 7 is equal to 28. So that means this is 28 inches. If this is 28 inches, how many inches is this x? All right. Now the ratio of the first triangle is 4/7. So we need to also find the measure of our x there. So x over 28 inch. All right. Or we can just remove the inch for now. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do the cross multiplication. So we've got 28 times 4/7 is equal to x. So we can simplify this. 28 divided by 7 is equal to 4, all right, over 1. And then 4 times 4 is equal to 16 divided by 1 is still equal to 16. So our answer for number 14 is letter C, which is 16. Okay, for number 15, which coordinate satisfies the inequality y plus 3 is greater than -3 times the quantity of x minus 2? Please try to solve it on your own first and pause the video. So what we can do here is y plus 3 greater than -3x minus positive 6, alright? Then combine like terms, solve the inequality in one variable, so that becomes y is greater than -3x plus 3. Alright, now this states that the y coordinate must be larger than -3 times the x coordinate plus 3. Test the points provided to see which one satisfies the given inequality. This can also be done graphically. So if you're going to test all these points, you will discover that -3 and 15 satisfies the inequality. Alright, try to answer number 6. Pause the video for a while, and then I'm gonna solve this when you're done. Alright, for number 16 here, so it says here if h of x is equal to 3x plus 4, what is h of 2x minus 3? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to substitute the value, the function 2x minus 3 here. That means that becomes h of 2x minus 3 becomes 3 times 2x minus 3 plus 4 distributive property. So we've got 6x minus 9 plus 4 combined like terms. We've got 6x minus 5 because -9 plus 4 is equal to -5. So this is our answer. Okay, for number 17, if -1 is less than a, less than b, less than 0, then which of the following is the greatest value? Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to let the value of a is equal to -0.9 and let the value of b is equal to -0.1. Alright, now let's try letter A here. B minus a, that is equal to b minus a is equal to -0.1 minus -0.9, that is equal to 0.8. Okay, how about letter B? So we've got is equal to -0.1 plus -0.9, that is equal to -1. Okay, for letter C, we've got -0.9 minus -0.1, that is equal to -0.8. And then for this one, we got 2 times -0.1 minus -0.9, that is equal to 0.7. Now the question there is, which of the following is the greatest value? Which of them has the greatest value, the biggest value? This is negative, negative, negative. This is 0.7 and this is 0.8. Basically, these are small values. So which is bigger, 0.8 or 0.7? So it's basically letter A. For number 18, in the figure below, what is the length of the altitude y? Basically, we can just ignore this. So we can just focus on this right triangle. How do we know that it is a right triangle? Because we have a 90-degree here, and the opposite is the biggest number, that becomes your hypotenuse. Now in this case here, in the Pythagorean theorem says that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two legs. So that means c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And your c squared is your hypotenuse. That means that is your 10. That means 10 squared is equal to, let's say your a, or let's say your y is your a. That becomes your y squared. And then your b is your base, or the 6. So that means 6 squared. Alright, so what is 100? What is 10 squared? 10 squared is equal to 100 is equal to y squared plus 6 times 6 is equal to 36. And then combine like terms, that becomes 100 minus 36, that is equal to 64 is equal to y squared. Now square both sides, your y is equal to positive negative 8. But since we don't have a negative distance or a negative length, so we're always going to use a positive for the length, or for the value of the length, which is equal to 8. Okay, try to answer number 19 here. Pause the video, and if you have an answer, you can play the video again. Alright, for number 19 here, choice A is not an acute triangle because it has one angle. It has one right angle. So it is no longer an acute triangle because it is a right triangle now. Right? Next, in choice B, the sum of the interior angle measures exceeds 180 degrees. So if you're gonna add that, it is no longer 180 degrees, and that is not a triangle anymore. For letter C, for choice D, suffers the reverse problem. Its sum does not make 180 degrees. Though choice C describes an equilateral triangle, it is also describes an isosceles triangle. What is an isosceles triangle, by the way? When we say isosceles triangle, these are triangles with angles less than 90 degrees. And of course, it should follow the properties of triangle, which is one of them, the sum of all angles inside a triangle must always be 180 degrees. It's not more than 180 degrees, or not less, no more, no less. It should always be equal to 180 degrees. For letter B and letter D, they do not, they either exceed or it's not enough to make it to 180 degrees. But letter C is exactly 180 degrees, and all of them are less than 90 degrees, which makes it an acute triangle as well as equilateral triangle. Okay, for number 20, which trigonometric function can equal or be greater than 1.000? Now, the trigonometric ratios sine and cosine never equal or exceed 1 because the hypotenuse, the longest side of the right triangle, is always their denominator, right? Now, the trigonometric ratio tangent can equal and exceed the value of 1.000 because the hypotenuse is never the denominator. So it is tangent. Okay, so this is part 1 of our review for the Upcat and SAT. And if you have any more questions, or if you have any questions or regarding math or sciences, physics and chemistry to be exact, you can comment down below your question so that we can try to address all of them. Please subscribe to my channel and please click the bell button. Thank you.